What if traveling internationally didn't have to mean getting ripped off every time you use your card? Well, with the Wise card, you can dodge hidden fees, skip terrible exchange rates, withdraw cash without penalties, and spend your money with total peace of mind. So today, I'll walk you through what makes the Wise card great, the one big drawback you need to look out for, and all the reasons I'll never travel without my Wise card again. But before I get into all the details about how the Wise card works, let me show you why traditional banks are probably taking you for a ride right now. Because here's the dirty little secret that banks don't want you to know. Whenever you use your regular debit or credit card abroad, most banks are charging you in two different ways. First, there's the foreign transaction fee, which is typically around 2.7 to 3% of every purchase you make. And this is just a flat fee that banks charge you for the privilege of using your card abroad. It's basically free money for them, but for you, those fees add up fast. But then comes the second, even more sneaky fee, which is the exchange rate markup. Banks almost never give you the real exchange rate, which is also known as the mid-market rate or the interbank rate. Instead, they give you a worse rate and they pocket the difference between the two. And the difference can be anywhere from 1 all the way up to 5% depending on your bank and the currency you're converting to. So let me give you a concrete example to show you how this works. Let's say you withdraw the equivalent of $1,000 from an ATM in Europe using a typical bank debit card. First, you'll probably pay a foreign transaction fee of around 3%, which is $30 on your $1,000 withdrawal. And then your bank might give you an exchange rate that's 2% worse than the actual rate, which costs you another $20. So even if you assume that you don't pay any ATM fees to the ATM provider in Europe, you're still paying 5% or $50 in fees on your $1,000 withdrawal. But what if there was a card that eliminated those fees? Well, that's where the Wise card comes in. The Wise card is a multi-currency debit card that works with your Wise account. And here's why it's a game changer for international travelers. It gives you the mid-market exchange rate without the hefty markups charged by the traditional banks, and it even gives you free ATM withdrawals up to a certain limit each month. I'll talk about those ATM withdrawal limits in a minute here because there is a catch to them, but still, with all these benefits, the question becomes, how does Wise even make money if they're not charging all those typical fees? Well, it's actually simple. They just charge a small one-time fee when you convert currencies inside your Wise account, which is typically between 0.4% and 0.7% depending on the currency. This is significantly lower than what the banks charge, and once you've paid that fee, you can spend that money using your Wise card without paying any additional fees. And just so you know, Wise is no longer some small startup that might disappear tomorrow. They're a publicly listed company in the UK with a market cap of around $12 billion and over 13 million customers worldwide. They've been in business for 14 years and they're fully licensed and regulated in more than 80 countries, including the US, UK, Australia, Singapore, Canada, and a bunch of others. So when it comes to legitimacy and security, Wise definitely passes the test. But now let's move on to how you can actually get and set up your Wise card, because that's probably why you're watching this video. First, you need to create a Wise account online, which only takes about 5 to 10 minutes. You'll need to verify your identity with a photo ID, and then once that's done, you can order your physical Wise card for just a couple of dollars. The card typically takes around 1 to 2 weeks to arrive, depending on where you are in the world, but once you've received the card, you just need to make a first purchase with it so that it's active and ready to go. But the real magic happens inside the Wise app, because inside the app, you can see exactly how much money you have in each currency, track your spending, and receive real-time notifications for every transaction you make, both online and offline. Plus, if you find exchange rates are particularly favorable right now, then you can convert money in advance to lock in a good rate. The app also has an auto conversion feature where you can set your preferred exchange rate, and then once the market rate reaches your target, it'll automatically convert your money for you, which can help you plan ahead for trips that you've booked months in advance. You can hold and manage around 50 different currencies inside your Wise account. And if you don't have any of the local currency for a particular country you're traveling in, then your Wise account will automatically use your primary currency, which will normally be something like the US dollar or euro, and convert it at the real exchange rate with a low conversion fee. One of the features I found especially useful is that you get virtual card details inside the Wise app, which means you can generate and delete those virtual card details whenever you want. And for additional security, you can also freeze and unfreeze both your physical card and any of those virtual cards with a single tap inside the Wise app. Plus, Wise gives you local bank details for the US, UK, Eurozone, Australia, Canada, and a bunch of other countries, which is incredibly valuable if you work with international clients or if you're an expat who needs to manage money across different countries. The Wise card also integrates flawlessly with Apple Pay and Google Pay, which means you can pay using your phone, your smartwatch, or however else you'd like to pay. But in countries where online payments still aren't popular, having a physical Wise card will save you even more money because you don't need to pay costly currency exchange fees when converting your home currency into the local currency as cash. But I also want to talk about customer support, because bad customer support can ruin even the best financial products. But Wise's customer support is actually pretty good. You can reach them on the phone or over email, and unlike a lot of financial institutions, they aren't stodgy and overly formal when they talk to you on the phone. They'll talk to you like a real human being, and they actually want to solve your problem, not just get you off the line. Plus, in my experience, their response times are usually a lot faster than with traditional banks, and I'm generally talking with a customer support agent in about 5 minutes or less. But I do need to mention a few drawbacks of the Wise card as well, because while it's my go-to card for international transactions, it's not perfect. The first drawback is the biggest one, and that's the limitations that Wise imposes on ATM withdrawals. Because while you can definitely withdraw cash from ATMs worldwide, Wise limits how much you're able to take out each month. For example, if your Wise account is based in the United States, you can only withdraw up to the equivalent of $100 from ATMs for free each month. And after that, Wise charges 2% on whatever you withdraw over that $100 limit. That's really low, and other countries do have it a bit better, but the limits still aren't that high. For example, if your Wise account is based in Canada, you can withdraw up to the equivalent of 350 Canadian dollars per month for free, but then after that, you'll pay 1.75% on any amount above that. And if your Wise account is based in the UK, you can withdraw up to the equivalent of £200 per month for free, but then you'll also pay 1.75% on any amount above that. So if you're someone who likes to pay with cash, or you're traveling in a place where credit card payments aren't that widespread, you're going to find these limits pretty restrictive. Another thing to keep in mind is that Wise won't reimburse you if you do get charged a withdrawal fee by the ATM itself. So while Wise itself won't charge you an ATM withdrawal fee, at least on the first few withdrawals that you make per month, some ATMs and banks will charge their own fees. So if you're going to be relying on cash from ATMs while you're traveling abroad, it's a good idea to do some research before you go to find ATMs that don't add on their own fees. Another drawback is that Wise doesn't have any physical branches. So if you prefer face-to-face banking, you'll still need a traditional bank account for that. And this last drawback is a small one, but the Wise card is a debit card, not a credit card. So that means that you're not building your credit history when you use it, and you won't get the same purchase protection or travel insurance that a lot of credit cards offer. You also won't earn any points or cash back like you would with a lot of other credit cards. So if maximizing travel rewards is important to you, then you might want to use your Wise card alongside a travel credit card rather than as a complete replacement. If you want to learn more about how to do that, I'll link to another video on my top rated travel credit cards up here. But there you have it, my complete, honest review of the Wise card. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably say it's a 9 out of 10, only losing 1 point for the limitations on ATM withdrawals. But still, the card has saved me thousands of dollars over the years, and it's made managing money across borders so much simpler. Gone are the days of waiting in long lines at currency exchange booths, paying terrible rates, and carrying around wads of cash that can get lost or stolen. You solve all of that with the Wise card. With the convenience of auto conversion, a global ATM network, easy funding and withdrawal options, and most importantly, a transparent fee structure, the Wise card is a total game changer for frequent international travelers. And so it's no surprise that the Wise card has completely changed how I manage my money when I travel, but there's also something else that you can add to the Wise card that takes your travel spending to the next level. Because if you combine the Wise card with the right credit card strategy, you're not just saving money, you're stacking points and miles to unlock free flights, hotel stays, and luxury upgrades that would otherwise seem completely out of reach. So to learn exactly how I use multiple cards to save a ton of money and get some pretty spectacular travel benefits, watch this video next.